Hey guys, welcome to Ringsiders. I'm joined firstly by a special co-host, Marcus of Man. How are you?
Yeah, I am all good, Jamie. I am all good. Very happy to be here on my not my debut episode because I interviewed you guys before. It was my breaking out party, but second interview here for Ringsiders. So really happy to be here.
I'm glad you're here, man. And obviously, we have the man himself, Joey Legend. How you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. How you guys doing?
We're good, mate. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It was really kind of you.
Oh, anytime, man. Apologies if you can hear stuff as well. It's thundering and lightning and raining very bad outside. So
okay, I can't hear a bit of it.
Oh, that's all right then. That's
good equipment.
So you in Germany at the moment then? Is that where you're based?
Yep, Hanover.
How's it like over there? Nice and sunny?
No, it's not sunny at all today. It's crappy and almost rainy. It's like been overcast and crappy all day.
Fair enough. Well, I know obviously Marcus has praised you enough to us, but we already know how great you are, man. We're familiar with you. But obviously, Marcus has bigged you up, haven't you, Marcus?
Yeah, I have done. I met you, Joe, it was quite a few years ago now. I think when we first met, talking as like a wrestling teacher, wrestling student, I mentioned seeing you at an all-star show like a few years before that when you were on Brian Dixon's shows, going to the Isle of Man. A lot of
Brian Dixon shows, yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember like going over to the Isle of Man and working on the shows there?
Oh yeah, I've been over there numerous times. Isle of Man and Isle of Wight, both.
Yeah, like they go to all like the strange islands, don't they, around there?
Yeah, well, Brian does Isle of Man, and I believe Sanjay Baggett does the Isle of Wight. I could be mistaken. Yeah. I've worked for both, so it's hard to remember who went where. I've had 138 tours of the UK, so it's kind of a blur at this point.
Wow, man, that's a lot. I was going to say, I mean, what was it like working for All Star and Brian?
Well, I'd heard all these tales, watch yourself, he'll nickel and dime you. But truthfully, I never had that problem. If Brian owed me £5, I got £5. If he owed me £500, I got £500. He never shorted me, never was bad with me. I mean, he was never offering a ton of money, but whatever he promised, he always delivered. I give him credit for that.
And now, if Callum was here, I'm not going to make you do it. But Callum always asks for a Brian Dixon impression or a story. So I'll leave it up to you.
Oh, gee whiz. I don't want to convict the man in the court of public opinion. But yeah, with Brian, he'll tell you. The thing is, Brian swears a bit. Can I swear on your podcast?
Swear away, man. Swear away.
Okay, yeah, I just didn't want to, I didn't know what your rules were.
No.
But I remember when he and Tracy Smothers had a falling out.
Right.
It's one of my favorite Brian Dixon things because we were on one of the camps. And they'd fallen out, I guess, on the phone. Brian walks in just frazzled. I'm like, gee, you all right there, Brian? He said, Tracy Smothers. I bring him over here. I treat him well. I give him a wage. And the sort of he comes, he's on the phone, he's telling me I'm wrong. He said, cunt, he called me a cunt, he is. And just to him going,
cunt, he called me a cunt.
Just freaking, every time I think of Brian, like over the top Brian impression, it was Brian being himself, just over the top.
Yeah.
Completely freaked out that Tracy Smothers and he had fallen out. It was hilarious.
I'm going to tell you right now, that may be the best impression we've ever had.
I think that should we have like a scale? Like I think that's on the 10 scale.
We've spoken to a few British wrestlers, Dean Allmark, Mark Haskins, Nathan Cruz, who've all worked with Brian and done great impressions, but yours is the best one I think I've ever heard. That's incredible.
Okay, well, in fairness, though, mine is an impression of Tony Spitfire doing Brian or an impression of Robbie Brookside doing their impression of Brian. Those two are masters.
No, I get that because people always take the piss out of me when I do Jim Cornette, but I always tell them I'm doing Bruce Pritchard doing Jim Cornette.
Jim Cornette, yeah.
Exactly. So it's a big difference, man. It's a big difference. But a name you mentioned,
trying to give credit where it's due, right?
With him, but I mean, we lost him sadly. It was Tracy Smothers. Yeah. Did you get to work with Tracy much?
I worked with him a couple times, not a whole lot. But the thing was, I went for a tryout with ECW forever and ever and ever ago, and he was running it. I was in Detroit, and this was before Rhino was there.
Yeah,
because Rhino was kind of my in with them. But this is even before he got there. But Scott D'Amore called me and said, "Yeah, I'm going in, and you're already down here for." I was working for a promotion in Detroit like every 2 weeks. So I shot in to do the tryout thing, and I met everybody. And, I'd heard a million, Taz is full of himself. What a dick. Taz was nothing but nice. Candido was great. Everybody was nice. Couldn't, I didn't get one bad experience. But Tracy was just like, you meet him, and 2 seconds later is your best friend.
Yeah.
And he was just so nice and so helpful. Like at the end of the tryout, we did like tryout matches and stuff. He pulls me aside. Okay, this is what I think they're going to want you to work on. Here's what you need. Here's my number. If you need anything, you call. We're going to be, in Buffalo, which is not too far from Toronto. We're going to be on these dates. Why don't you come on down? I'll get you another look. See, like he met me for, a half hour one day. And all of a sudden he's, busting his ass to try and get me a job.
Yeah.
And which is, he was a sweetheart of a guy. And then one of the best things was it was a Dixon thing. I'd flown in to, I think, Liverpool airport instead of Manchester. And so I had to take a couple of buses to get to the digs where we're staying. And Tracy was there when I got there. He was the only one in the house watching videos. So I walked in and was like, "Oh, Tracy, how you been?" He's kind of just like, "Hey, how you doing?" Like real, almost distant, And he said, "So what have you been up to?" I said, "Oh, well, I had a get together for my birthday the other day." He's like, "When's your birthday?" I said, "Oh, September 2nd. He goes, "Me too, Virgo, baby." High fives me, and then like treated me like I was his best friend forever. I don't know whether he was into the star sign thing, but we both had the same birthday, and he loved that. I think he saw that as a sign from the divine that we had to be mates.
Yeah,
Yes, Burn. I was going to ask you a question. I have like written down as well, like the legend of the digs, which is like a big house or an apartment, isn't it, in Liverpool, where some of the rest
in Birkenhead. It's across the river from Liverpool, so it's right across. Yeah, it's the town. It's the town right across, but it's kind of a mirror of Liverpool. And it's a 2-story kind of house, and everybody stayed there. The place has been a mess. It's been torn apart. Brian sold it.
Oh, has he sold it now?
Yeah, the digs is no more.
They're going to make like a national landmark for like a wrestling mecca where like English wrestlers go.
Whatever stories happen, the tale, the book has been closed.
Oh.
It's a shame, but I know some horrible stories. But the thing is, if I say them, first of all, I'll gross your audience out. But number two, it'll put some people in a very bad light on their personal conduct sometimes. But it was, we all had a key to the place. We could, come and go as we wanted. It wasn't so bad. I mean, it sometimes got bad. I can't say it didn't. But it wasn't so bad that, you were like angry that you had to get, hey, this has got to change,
Yeah.
But it wasn't so great that you felt you had to sweep the floor behind you to go in the next room. It was a very comfortable place for the boys to hang out. You wouldn't want to bring a girl there, but it's a good place for you and the boys to hang out comfortably.
Man, that's incredible. I know. Obviously, you've wrestled all over Europe, and obviously we're going to talk Germany and things. But I said to Marcus at the start, I mean, you wrestled in Russia as well.
Yeah, I'm still the champ.
You're still the champ. I mean, am I, correct me if I'm wrong, but did you face Raven in Russia, or was that somewhere else?
Yeah, no, I wrestled him. I actually got him booked there just after he got married. And he brought his missus too.
Working Raven? Because obviously you hear so many things about his mind and psychology. What's it like working with Raven?
I've worked him a bunch of times. It's great. He's okay. Like I don't want to say like I'm painting him in a bad light. I think the world really consider him a dear friend. It depends on how much he wants to put on his work boots.
Yeah.
Because sometimes he had his neck was messed up, and I think his hips were a mess. And I can appreciate bad hips. I just had both mine replaced, so I know how bad that can be. But he was hurting a lot, so then he tried to try and boost the psychology of the match so he could do less but try to get more out of the crowd, which is a great learning experience. But sometimes, like, the crowd just needs action. So sometimes I think between the two of us, I mean, I get 50% of the blame. If the crowd wasn't into it, then we overthought what we could get away with, I guess. I mean, I'm always up for working and, earning my wage. But I also want to make sure the person I'm working with is going to be safe as well.
Yeah.
I think later in his career, he was just so hurt that he was, he could do less and less.
Yeah.
But he still wanted to give the crowd, as much of the Raven experience as possible. And his best angle was in ECW was him and the Sandman, which were not by any stretch technical masterpieces. But the story behind them were awesome. The only difference is we were doing spot shows and they had TV to sell the story long game. Mm-hmm. So we were trying to do TV style matches, but in a house show, so you had no backstory to kind of play up on. So that's where we, I think, dropped the ball a little bit.
Amazing. What's it like? Obviously, as well, because Russia is not somewhere that I've ever really thought about the wrestling scene. What's it like over there, wrestling in Russia?
Fantastic. Crowds are like wild. The show I did with Raven, I think there was 5,000 or 6,000 people. There was an arena.
Oh. And
it was like one of these extreme sports things where people were like motorbikes jumping over flaming cans and shit, like trash cans and that. And they had this big kind of wavy ramp, 2 of them. And there was side by side, and then there was a platform in the middle. And it was about, I guess, 30 or 40 meters high. On top of that is where the ring was.
Wow.
So we had to climb up there and wrestle. So he and I mean, it's a Raven match. So we fought there. We rolled out of the ring, rolled down the ramp, fought part way, rolled down the rest of the ramp, fought on the floor, bashed each other with trash cans, then fought our way back up and finished up top. And the crowd was with us the whole way. When I won the belt there, it was just outside of this monster stadium, whatever the big stadium is in Moscow. I can't remember the name of it. I don't speak Russian. But yeah, we had, I don't know how many thousands and thousands of people who were there for that. And I beat a guy named Volkan, which I think translates to volcano, big muscle guy, super nice.
Yeah.
But any show I've done in Russia has always been like really well received. The crowds pile in by the hundreds. I watched it in the very first show I ever did. The opening match was Murat Bosporus and Doug Williams.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Which should be a main event anyway. Both those guys except. But I just remember I went up to the top of the bowl. It was almost like an opera theater. It's very weird. But I went up to the top of the bowl to look down and just see, okay, what's this crowd biting? So I could, because I was doing the championship later that night. So I went upstairs just to see what the crowd's biting on. And Murat and Doug locked up. Doug pulled Murat into a headlock, and the crowd went, oh! And I said, I love this crowd.
People
play that best.
Main event in this.
And not to mention, like, the women are unbelievably beautiful. Like, I know that there's a reputation, but you don't appreciate every direction as a supermodel. It is unbelievable.
I think
Just
I need
ridiculous.
to check out the. I think I need to check out the Russian scene.
Jamie is going to be booking his ticket to Russia quite soon.
Well, I was teaching a class in Poland yesterday, and the women there are beautiful too. The girls on the team in Poland, there's like 2 fitness models and stuff on their, like, in their training center. The women there are beautiful too, and just such good athletes.
Yeah.
Like, on top of it all, you just think, okay, well, she's hot. That's her contribution. And then she goes out there and just busts her ass. And you're like, holy crap, this chick's really like a talented athlete. Now, one chick's like a super CrossFit champion and all this. It's amazing. The women have come such a long way in such a short period of time. For years, they kind of were just a novelty act on the guy shows. And then, for a short time with Trish and Lita and stuff, they got a little bit of a feature. And then they just turned it into like bikini models and such. And they were doing like pudding matches and that. Kind of degrading. I'm not saying I didn't enjoy the view, but it wasn't what the girls, I think, really intend to do. And then when they brought in, was it AJ something? What was her last name? Lee?
Oh, AJ Lee, yeah.
Yeah, AJ Lee and Paige and all them. And they rebooted. And all of a sudden people were like, they're hot and they can go. They can work. And then that changed the status of the business for them. But it was a long road for the girls. And I like to see that the girls I'm training now fit into that category nicely. Like, you can put them on in any bikini model, calendar you want, but they can also get in the ring and go toe to toe with any guy.
Yeah. That's a great point. I was thinking as well, you're saying that with seminars, you were in Poland this weekend. During one, you've been over, done seminars with us here at Stockholm Wrestling. And I know whenever we talk to European wrestlers and talk on the scene, somewhere your name always comes up. You've had a huge impact on the training of wrestlers all over Europe. Could you have a guess of how many countries you've been to doing this?
46.
46 countries.
Yeah.
I mean, Jamie, that's got to be some kind of record.
No, I can't be. I think X-Pac's been over 100. So I'm far from the record. But for a guy not under a contract to one company putting you everywhere, I think I'm doing okay.
That's incredible, man. That's absolutely incredible to be to travel the world like that. And obviously, Marcus just mentioned Sweden. I mean, I'd be lying if I said when the world opens up and I'm flying out to Sweden, I wouldn't mind seeing you and Marcus go one-on-one. I'm just saying. All right.
Thank you. I'd like to too. Like this weekend, just in the training, it's my first time being in a ring since I got the hips replaced.
Yeah.
So I had this kind of like, okay, how much, how much can I do? Because I started just recently doing Hindu squats again, just to try and, build the strength in the hips and everything. And it all came back so quick. I did my first day, I did 4 sets of 20 and then a set of 24, because that adds up to 104.
Yeah.
And 52 is a running joke with me and my high school mates, and I haven't matured at all since I was 16. So it's like 2 sets of 50. And so then I decided to just build and build and build. And inside of 2 weeks, I'm now doing 2,000 uninterrupted.
That's amazing, man. Because obviously I noticed, just mentioned hip replacement. I know The Undertaker had a hip replacement, obviously, after that match with Reigns at WrestleMania. And then when he came back, there was a tag team match, he came back, and you could see the difference. He was moving a lot quicker, a lot faster. He looked the best he'd looked for a long time. Are you starting to feel that way as well again now then?
Oh, yeah, I feel amazing. Like I say, I got into the ring this weekend and on Saturday, because I did Saturday and Sunday. And Saturday, in the last half hour of the training, they said, so you're going to do a bump today? I said, yeah. I said, well, we're going to film it. And they all were chanting and clapping for me to get in the ring and do it. So I couldn't kind of weasel out of it any longer and be a pussy. I had to go do it. So I got in the ring and I stood there and I take the bump and they all jumped up. Yay, you still got it. Clap, clap, clap. I was like, okay, stop taking the mic. And then I'm like, sit up a little bit. I'm like, why was I looking forward to that? That sucked. But it wasn't the hips. It was my belly. Just, first bump back on my back. And then I came up, I've been thinking of a new move, which is kind of a finisher. And I tried it out and it worked out very well. So I'll have to debut that when I start getting back into matches. Poland's got their first couple of shows coming up, I think, next month. So I'll be there for those. And then hopefully by then Germany will be opening up. Because normally I go to Poland every month, I go to France every month, I go to England every month, and then I do stuff in Germany too. And then when other stuff comes up, like I'll go to the States, I'll go to America, to Detroit. Because Rhino runs like these charity shows usually between November, December, and Christmas season type thing. So I go and do a show for him, but then I'll do a whole bunch of stuff around Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, that type of thing. And up into Ontario and go visit my folks in Toronto, stuff like that. So that'll take me away from doing one of my France, Polish, English gigs. Or I'll go, I'll get back to Japan for a week or something like that. That's always cool. So that my steady is usually Poland, France, England, Germany, but then it gets interrupted by fun stuff. I'm talking to a guy about going to the Himalayas because I'd really like to see that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Kathmandu and all that.
That's incredible. You mentioned obviously Germany as well. I mean, what's it like, the German scene? How have you found it? Because obviously over here in the UK, you have like WXW and places like that people class as maybe the best company in Europe. What's your experience been of the German scene? I know obviously Catch Wrestling Association as well. Yeah,
that's who I used. That's what brought me over here. I used to work for them. Rhino and I were tag champs for Otto for a while. Undefeated, thank you very much. No. But we the scene here, I mean, everything's really, I guess, due to the internet. It's probably the biggest culprit, but it's become kind of Americanized.
Yeah.
I liked it years ago when I first came here. We were doing rounds. Like the World of Sport used to do rounds.
World of Sport, yeah.
I'd learned to do rounds, but I was working in South Africa in '95. So I came to Germany a little more aware of the style. I didn't need a learning curve to get myself over. I kind of knew what I was doing for a reasonable amount, anyways. But then you're always learning more. German scene's cool. WXW, I don't know if they're the absolute best product, because I don't know if you can say there's a best product, because it's very much personal taste. It's like saying, you like Motorhead, but you also like Willie Nelson. Like, they're two very different products, but it's just your personal taste. WXW definitely has the best internet exposure, maybe at least in Germany, if not in Europe. I mean, if you're in Europe anywhere, if you just take half a look, you'll know what's going on in WXW. They don't let you miss their stuff. So they have a great internet presence. But I mean, I work for this group called Unlimited Wrestling. It's a place over here called The Hearts. It's a mountain range about an hour and a half from me. And I'm one of the head trainers. So I'm usually up for them once a month, once every 6 weeks when shit is open.
Yeah.
But their first show they ran, I believe they had 800 people.
Okay.
And what was really cool is it was 3 days before my 50th birthday. And in my region here in Niedersachsen, you have to be over 15 to go to a wrestling show.
Right.
It's illegal to bring anybody younger than that to a wrestling show. You get fined and lose your license. And my kids, like, they're now 13. I got twin 13-year-olds.
Yeah.
So this was, obviously a year and change ago. So, but over where they were running, that rule didn't apply. So for the first time, my kids could come see me wrestling live.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I did the main event, had a great match. The place went berserk, got big, applause, the standing ovation, all that stuff. And then I got to bring my kids into the ring.
Brilliant.
And did my whole after match thing with my kids in the ring, and they're, crowds, little legends, and stuff like that. And I was just thinking, when the kids go back to school, like, I went to Disney World and I went to this, and I went, oh, really? Were you in the main event ring? Were you in the ring in the main event with your dad at a wrestling show? Like, it's kind of cool that I could give my kids something that really none of their friends in school could have ever got.
No, it's like a unique memory they're gonna have like forever with that one.
Oh yeah, it was really cool. And like I said, it's the first time they ever got to see me wrestle, and it was just shy of my 50th birthday, so I couldn't have asked for a better gift for that for my birthday.
Is again, correct me if I'm Unlimited. Did you face Davey Boy Smith Jr. there? I know you faced him.
No, I faced him a bunch of times, but I faced him. That was for DWA, Deutsche Wrestling Alliance.
Because did you ever face his dad as well? The British Bulldog.
No. He I hung out with him. My first match with WWF after I'd gotten my contract. They still didn't have my work visa. They contacted me. They said, "Listen, can you slide across the border and come to Rochester? We just want to get a look at you. We haven't seen you because it took them 7-8 months to get me my visa." So I slipped across the border and I did this opening match, and I did this nip-up clothesline, which I was doing all the time, but I pinched a nerve in my back. And so little by little, as I left the match, it was getting worse and worse. And I walked out, I get to the back, I lied down, and I couldn't get up for 3 hours. I spent the whole night on my back in the locker room, my feet up on a bench. I was messed up. And Al Snow came along, and he's, I guess, knowledgeable about such things. And he's like, "Yeah, you pinched a nerve in your back. You have to wait for it to calm down. Then I'd go see a chiropractor and get yourself adjusted," which I did, and it worked out. Everything worked out great. But on the drive home, I was with Christian. And Davey changed his flight schedule because if he was leaving from Rochester, he had to fly somewhere else. It was going to take him like a day and a half to get home. But if he drove to Toronto with us, we could drop him at the airport. He'd catch a red eye. Yeah. So we hop in the car and we're driving along. Christian and him are in the front seat. I'm lying down across the back seat. And I thought, well, shit, this is a guy who really had some back problems after that trapdoor thing in WCW. Yeah. So I'm going to pick this guy's brain. And it was kind of funny because I'm like, so, what do you think I should do? He's like, gas, take a lot of gas. You need gas. I'm like, well, let's call that plan B. Well, I use I use this and I use that. And he like listed a whole litany of crap that he used when his back was messed up because the doctors just wanted to leave him in the hospital. Yeah. And I guess he pulled out his IV stuff and said, "No, I'm going home. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die, on my terms." And he went home and he went to his local pharmacist. Yeah. And got all the stuff he needed. And he came back on his own. It wasn't through any, proper medical therapy. It was from himself. So that was the advice he gave me. I didn't take the advice. I took Al's advice and went to the chiropractor, and I'm happy I did that.
That's a wise decision. Was this in 1999? I'm just thinking Bulldog came back for his last run that, and he passed away.
Because I signed in September of 99.
Okay.
So that might have been January of 2000, like really late 99, early 2000. Oh, okay. Because it took until July of 2000 to get my visa.
Yeah, it wasn't too many months after that Davey Boy passed away then.
Yeah. Well, I actually, no, it was in 2001 because I was in England. And, everybody's like, "Oh, you were WWF, so Dave and yada, yada, yada." I said, "Oh, yeah." And I told them the story about the car, how he was trying to help and such. Yeah. And then I got a call at like 3 a.m. from Chick Cullen, let me know. Yeah, I don't know if you know this. David passed. So it was in 2001 that he passed, and it was like it was a real ripple through the whole British community. Like,
I remember.
Oh yeah.
It's the one subject everybody's talking about. I can only imagine. The only other one that kind of rippled through at least England, from what I saw, was the unpleasantness with Benoit's situation.
Yeah.
Where there was one subject in every locker room, and that was it.
Oh yeah, good God, yeah. I remember that. But you mentioned, I know, because you know these guys, you're really good friends with these guys. You mentioned obviously Christian. We'll talk Edge as well, but I mean, obviously Christian. You hear a lot of people say he's pound for pound one of the greatest to ever do it. I mean, is that something you agree with? Is he that good? Yeah.
Well, the thing, I want to say, basically, when anybody says, what do you think of Jay? They go, Jay's a fucking dick. he's a wind-up artist. He likes to wind everybody up, right? So I have to say that at least once when talking about him. He's a guy who picked it up so fast because he came into our gym a year after Adam started. Edge Adam, for anybody who doesn't know. And so I was there to see Adam's progression. I was there to see Jay's progression. And I felt Jay just picked it up quicker than anybody I'd seen. Jay was so good. So he just had this innate sense of time. He's decent athletically. But just what impressed me most was just like when guys first start, they just want to do every move they saw on TV.
Yeah.
And Jay was always like, well, why am I doing that move? And why would this be correct? And why would this not? Why don't we wait to do this one till later? Because that would make more sense. Like he was always worried about the structure of it to get the most value out of everything he did. And I think that's why he progressed so quickly because, like 3 days in, he was thinking like a veteran.
Yeah.
Whereas Adam and I and, pretty much everybody at the gym, like we show up, it's like, well, I want to do a sharpshooter. Well, I was obsessed with the moonsault. I had to do a master moonsault. And then when I finally did it, I'm like, all right, I could do a moonsault, but I'm not getting paid anymore. Like I'm still, So Jay didn't obsess with moves as much as he obsessed with, working well. And that's why I think he advanced so much and why everybody wants to work with him. I mean, Randy Orton said he's his favorite opponent.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. It's not just because he can bully him. It's because Jay will always get the best out of everybody he works with.
Exactly. So what he's doing now at AEW, he constantly has the best matches out on the card, working with somebody having his style of match, and it really stands out. You see, the basics there.
The only problem is, and I agree with Cornette on this, that he undermines himself on it by taking whoever and making them a bigger star, but in turn dragging himself down. Like, I don't know if they want him to be a top guy or if they want him to help get guys to be top guys. If they're just getting him to elevate guys, great. He's totally the guy to do it.
Yes.
But if they want him to be a top guy, they're chipping away at him by, guys who aren't in his caliber, taking him to the limit every night.
They are. That's the question.
He's obviously just trying to have the best match of the night. I think he likes the freedom because I don't think they have agents putting their thumb down on him in AEW the way
no.
So he gets that freedom to be creative and show what he can really do without, I want to have my match. I don't want to have to be the avatar for Dean Malenko's idea of what my match should be. Mm-hmm. It's me. It's my match. I know what the fuck I'm doing, and I'm going to do it. And when he does it, he's great.
Yeah,
it's fun. I have to do sidetrack as well because obviously when you said that he's a dick, it made me laugh because a couple of years ago, Edge came over to the UK and did like a spoken word tour, and I got to meet him, got a photo of him, and he was telling stories, and he actually mentioned Christian, and every time he mentioned Christian's name, he made the audience shout, "He's a dick." So it was just,
there we go.
Yeah, so
I didn't know he did that. It's news to me, but it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it's just when he said that, I was like, "Oh my god, yeah, it must be a real thing." Yeah.
Well, the thing is, he's just a really funny wind-up guy. The thing is, he never really tried to wind me up because he always knew that I knew what he was up to.
Yeah.
So I was always the guy he'd elbow me in the ribs, watch this, and then he'd wind somebody else up, and I was kind of his audience for his wind-ups. But he never really tried to. He tried to wind me up, and it would work. And then I just, I'll piss off, Jay, and I'd throw an insult back, and we kind of had that agreement, I guess, between us.
Yeah,
we could both kind of shit on each other, and everything would be fine. But he liked more shitting on somebody who had trouble shitting on him back, but looking at me, going, look at him, look how wound up he is.
Honestly, it's just when you said that, obviously the guy that was hosting it, when he first mentioned Christian, Edge just kind of put his hand in his head and went, "The guy's a dick." That was it for the rest of the night. Every time he mentioned his name, we all had to shout, "He's a dick." Every time he mentioned his name, it was priceless. It really was. But obviously, speaking of Edge as well, I mean, good friend of yours. I mean, what's your thoughts on him now? Obviously, making that return after 9 years.
Yeah. At first, I was a bit concerned because I was like, I hope it's not because he needs the money. He was never a guy. He was never a big pillhead or a boozer. a partier. He was a guy who took good care of his money. He had some tax issues forever ago. It's because he got bad tax advice, not because he was trying to, he didn't put it all on a horse and then, oh shit, no. So I was concerned that, okay, I hope he doesn't just need the money. And then I'd heard through the grapevine that no, he just, wanted to come back. He was kind of sitting on his ass. I think also he's trying to kind of get this acting thing going.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on a show called Vikings, I think he was
Vikings,
on.
yeah.
And I think, a lot of guys, like whenever Rock had a movie coming out for a while, he would always like make a return for a couple of shots for WWE to advertise the show. So I think Adam wanted to remind the audience, like, by the way, I'm here, and now he can, up his stock in the movie world, kind of ride the wave that really The Rock has opened so many doors for him. So he, Adam can kind of walk through behind him a little more easily. I think he looks in fantastic shape. He's lean as hell. He looks really, really good. I think he's the best he's looked in years. Better than he looked the entire time he had his WWE title run.
Yeah.
He was in great shape when he was Intercontinental champ and when they were doing the Bill and Ted thing with the tag teams and all that. And then he just, I don't know if he stopped going to the gym or what, or if he changed his style or diet changed, whatever, but he just wasn't as cut as he used to be. And I guess he's found the magic elixir that's, maybe he's gone all DDP yoga or something, because a lot of people swear by that. I mean, Stevie Richards looks better now than he ever looked. The Stevie is always in good shape, but the Stevie looks better than he ever did from that DDP yoga. Wouldn't surprise me if Adam got into that. But he looks great. Seems to have not missed a step from what I've seen. I haven't really watched much of it, but what I've seen, he looks like he hasn't been out of the ring 15 minutes.
No, I think the time away
he wants to show his kids. I think he wants to show he wants his kid to see him in the ring, and this is what I did. And then his kid can see the crowd going crazy for him and give his kid that memory. That'd be my guess is what the reason is he came back.
Yeah.
Those multitude of reasons.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me at all. Obviously we talked Edge, but I've got to rewind the clock and ask you about Sexton Hardcastle.
Yeah.
And the greatest tag team name of all time, Sex and Violence.
Yeah, man.
Where did that name come from? I've got to hear this one.
There's no real big story. It was an idea of mine. We were training at Sully's, and everybody there, if you did a tag match at the gym, you start thinking, well, what if we were a permanent tag team? You come up with ideas. I was a tag team with my friend Keith. He was known as Zach Wild, and we were called Killer Instinct. And then Jay and I had one too. I can't remember what it was. It was something really stupid, like Best Friends or something. But something ridiculous, because when I'm around him, I'm as ridiculous as he is. And then Adam and I said, well, what a great name for a tag team, Sex and Violence. So we started tagging up, and it struck. We got a lot of bookings. And then we got a manager down in Detroit, handsome Johnny Bradford, wrestling's only deaf manager, and a wonderful guy, still a great friend to this day. And he had hookups with Pro Wrestling Illustrated and Inside Wrestling and all those magazines. So in one of those magazines, I can't remember which one, but they had now featuring, it's like the newest stars coming to the business.
Yeah.
He was beating the drum for us for, I don't know how long, trying to get us in the magazine. And they wouldn't put us in because the name Sex and Violence was too suggestive. Now, can you imagine a couple of years later when the Attitude Era comes around, the name is the most, tame thing possible. The most tame, laid back thing ever. But at the time, Pro Wrestling Illustrated was like, yeah, we can't, we sell to children. These guys are animals for using anything like it. So I guess we were ahead of the curve by about 15 minutes or so.
Like Marcus said, though, it's one of the best tag team names I've ever heard.
I'm glad you like it. It was, I think he said that, I think he ended up getting some merch saying that he was Sex and Violence in WWE. Yeah, he had a T-shirt that said he was Sex and Violence, on his own, whatever. Plenty of stuff that I've had a hand in that's gone on there, like Daniel Bryan's yes, and I was doing that forever ago. If you look at the pay-per-view I did in Scotland in 2002, you'll see evidence of it. The no, yes thing for WWA. The curb stomp, I was doing that for a long time. I came up with that in Windsor at the Can-Am school.
The Flatliner, the Chris Canyon one.
Yeah, he did it 1 week after I left TV.
Yeah, I know you told me that.
Guys, you horrible bastard, you. I liked him. I was like, look at this. He's doing it.
Like, I just told him this 1 week ago. God damn it.
But yeah, like the curb stomp. I remember, what was Seth's old name? Tyler something?
Tyler Black.
Tyler Black, yeah. We were doing a show in Austria. And I did the curb stomp during the match. And he came up to me and he's like, hey, man, I really liked your match. I'm like, oh, thanks a lot. Like, I didn't know who he was. I heard he was some Ring of Honor guy. And so I was like, oh, thanks. It's always nice to hear. He goes, like, that stomp move, what was that? And I said, oh, I came up with that in Windsor. And you think it's all right? He goes, oh, I think it's really cool. So, oh, I'm glad you like it. Turns out a lot. He was the first one to get it to TV. I mean, Marufuji stole it from me in Japan. I taught some seminars when I was over for Noah. And then I did a bunch of stuff there. And then I saw Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin a couple of years later. And they were like, yeah, you got to do something about Marufuji. I'm like, why? He's doing all your shit. I'm like, Alex, you do all my shit. He's like, yeah, but I give you credit. He doesn't give you credit. Fuck that guy. I showed it in a seminar. Like, I'm the worst, coach ever. If I say, here's all kinds of cool stuff. No, never do it. It's mine, all mine.
That would be
you get your stuff burgled. Whoever gets it on TV first, it's kind of there. It becomes theirs, unfortunately, So just have to keep myself creative.
That's it, man. That's it. And obviously, I don't want to keep you too much longer. I know you might have things to do, but I know you mentioned Japan. And I've got to ask you, because I was doing the research. One of the guys who I'm a big fan is that's Tanaka, Masato Tanaka. I know you worked with him. What was that like working with him? Because he seems like a crazy guy.
No, it was really easy to work with. I felt it was in the Fire Festival. I had to work him in a singles match in the Fire Festival, and then I had to work him again in a tag match. I can't remember who I was teaming with, but it was in Korakuen Hall, and it was him and Otani against me and somebody. I can't remember who it was. And just, they were real easy to work with. I mean, I was waiting for things to be impossibly stiff and mean-spirited, everything. But those guys were total pros. He was, we came with a bunch of ideas. And, Ryuji Sai?
Yeah.
Yeah. He used to wear all the British colors, and I didn't know why. It turns out he, was raised in England or something. So he spoke perfect English.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So he was great. And they were making us a team over there for a short time. And to make us like a European tag team invading 0-1, who I was working for at the time. So we were going to call the team Euro 1, right? And then just things didn't end up working out, unfortunately. But I remember after I did my match with Masato Tanaka, Sai pulled me aside backstage. That's one of the best matches I've ever seen. I'm like, I don't know about that. I thought it was pretty good, and I'm happy with it. And then he just listed off everything he liked. It's almost like he was taking notes. So it was really flattering that the guy just didn't, a lot of guys just say, yeah, I like to walk away. And maybe they watched it, maybe they didn't. They're just trying to be nice. But he was detailed in everything that he liked. And I was appreciative of that.
That's cool. I'm going to ask as well, I mean, working Korakuen Hall as well, what was that like? I mean, that's people, you think Madison Square Garden, but in Japan, it's that place. I mean, was it a special feeling fighting there, working there?
Well, the first time I worked there was in 92 or 93 when I went over for FMW. It was the very first Japanese show I worked, was Korakuen Hall. And it was sold out. The place was nuts, and chairs and tables and all kinds of crap. It was me and Dr. Luther against the Great Punk and somebody, I can't remember who, it might have been Tarzan Goto. But yeah, my very first match there. So walking in there, I made sure to go over to the wall. If there's a wall in the hallway where everybody signs who's ever wrestled there. So I was kind of proud to be able to put my name on that list of some pretty impressive names.
Great.
I also put the name on my buddies' bands and such too, just to have those on there as well. But
that's amazing. You mentioned Dr. Luther as well. I mean, he's still on the go. I mean, AEW, he's signed there now. I mean, what's your thoughts on what he's doing at the moment? Still on the go now?
I've not seen. I haven't really watched any AEW. I watched their one pay-per-view because I was on. Do you know Starbuck?
Yeah.
Okay, I did his podcast, and one of the things on his podcast, he wanted to review this pay-per-view. So that was the only time I've really watched a pay-per-view from front to back of AEW. And he wasn't on that one. I haven't heard his name brought up in a while, and I know Jim Cornette, he shits on him a bit. And I love Jim. Yeah. But, I don't necessarily always agree with Jim. So I like I said, I'd like to see what Lenny's doing. I know his gimmick was perfect for Japan. I don't know how you would do it in North America legally. Because in Japan, he was coming out in the straitjacket and the Hannibal Lecter match.
Yeah.
And the young girls who were coming out with us would be trying to unbuckle his straitjacket. And he'd be running through the crowd, kicking chairs over and chasing fans and throwing chairs at fans. And then we get in the ring, and the ring would be, the ropes would be wrapped in barbed wire and such. I don't see that happening in AEW every week. No. So I'm not sure what his character brings to the table to that product. I know for FMW he was ideal. I heard there was a metal band in Japan that actually, like Iron Maiden has Eddie.
Yes, they had him as the mascot for this band.
For some band, yeah. I don't know who it was, but there was a guy walking around stage doing the Dr. Luther walk and everything. So he was somewhat culturally significant over there, back in the early 90s. So, I always got along with Lenny. I hope he's doing well. I know he's tight with Jericho, which is probably why he got the job at his age, because he and I are about the same age, and they're not looking to hire many 50-year-olds. They're trying to, appeal to the youth market, and I understand it. So I just hope he's doing well, and I hope they can find a way to get the most out of the character, because it is a pretty interesting character.
Yeah. Oh, it is. He's doing a good job. I like it when he's on TV. He is entertaining, but I totally get what you mean with the contrast with the Japanese Luther to
it's what the audience will accept and what you're going to get sued for,
Exactly. Before we do start to wrap up stuff as well, and obviously you had a TNA run as well. What was the experience like there? Was Jeff Jarrett in charge when he was there? Was it that era?
Yeah. Well, Jarrett and Russo, and then Dutch Mantel came in.
Yeah.
Because I just left. He was my boss in Puerto Rico, and I left Puerto Rico to go to TNA. I was working for IWA down in Puerto Rico. Loved Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico's awesome. And then TNA started off okay, and then it kind of went sour.
Yeah.
They didn't, they ended up owing me a lot of money. Dixie, in fairness, Dixie Carter, who gets a lot of crap, but she paid me out. When I left the company and they owed me money, I didn't have to bug or make, send a legal letter or anything like that. No, Dixie, do what I was owed, and she made sure I got it. So Carter was due. But I just, I got screwed around by Jeff and Dutch, so I don't have much use for those guys.
What's I've got to ask you, because obviously he's a very polarizing figure himself. You mentioned Russo. What was your thoughts on working with Vince Russo? I
like Vince. He's like anybody else. Like, I'm a control freak, so no matter what happens, I want to change something to make it more money, put my stink on it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not going to agree with Vince on everything. I think he had a bunch of good ideas. I think he needed those ideas reined in. In fairness, I was just talking about this to the guys in Poland as well. If you look at a guy like Jericho, his stuff in WWE compared to his stuff in AEW, I think AEW, from what I've seen, with he's like falling in buckets of juice or some bit of bullshit. And was there something to do with a drone? And then
Matt Hardy and Vanguard 2.0, was it, or something like that? Yes, there was. Yeah.
Right, which is a little bit too silly for my taking. So I think Jericho's another guy who has a lot of great ideas, super creative, but sometimes maybe needs to be reined in a little bit to make things a little more grounded.
Filter system around him to filter add parts of the ideas. Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's what Russo needs. I mean, I'm sure Jim Cornette wants to shoot me in the face for saying anything good about it, but I always got on with him. He was always nice to me. Like I said, I agreed with some of what he did, and I disagreed with other. I do give him credit for something that nobody else seems to. And that's when he put the belt on David Arquette. It was a totally bad idea. I'm not going to justify that. It was terrible. Okay. But at the same time, when that happened, that had to go through a lot of hands.
Yeah.
There had to be a bunch of insurance issues. He was kind of a deal in Hollywood at the time. He's kind of fallen off now. But, they had that movie, the Ready to Rumble, I think it was.
Yeah.
And he was like making appearances on Friends, and he was Courtney Hawk's boyfriend or husband or something. But he was kind of a deal, and that had to go through a bunch of hands all the way up through Turner to make them say, okay, we're going to take this guy, the skinny guy, and put him in the main event at risk with all these people in cage matches and shit, and we're going to put our belt on. And all these people had to say yes along the way.
Yeah.
And then they finally did it, and the audience obviously shit on it. And Vince didn't throw anybody under the bus. He said, no, it was my idea.
Yeah.
I give him credit for, it was a bad idea, but it was my idea, and I'm not gonna grass anybody else up. So I think he deserves more credit than he gets for something like that. He at least owned a bad decision and didn't try to pass the buck and put it on somebody else's shoulders.
I'm glad you said that, because I've said that all the time as well. I like Vince Russo, and I've always said to people, yeah, he made some bad choices, some bad decisions, but what I like with Vince Russo is he always owns up to the fact that, hey, yeah, I made some bad decisions. So yeah. I'm with you on that. I totally agree. Totally agree with you on that one.
Yeah, and like I said, the stuff he did with me in TNA, I was brought in as a member of Sports Entertainment Extreme, Sex, and then TNA. Like, he has a somewhat of a juvenile sensibility about him, I suppose. But it served him well for so long that I can't imagine why he would change that. Like, it served him well in WWE, and then it got him a huge deal with WCW. Didn't work out, but he made out okay. And then when you hire him, you're not hiring him because you think he's got an average grasp on ideas. He's a wild card, and so he just played to what he believes got him the most notoriety.
Yep.
And that's what he was hired for. So for him to show up and then say, well, we're going to make this more Olympic style, I think Dixie would have said, well, that's not what you did with WWE. What are you doing? Like, I'm paying you big money for big ideas. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of people who were maybe to blame for bad ideas than him.
Oh, yeah.
And a good filter system, everybody needs somebody. I mean, everybody who does well at anything needs that one friend to step up in his ear and say, sure, you're doing, like, I have friends who are like rock stars, right?
Yeah.
But they still need that one guy around them when they're, standing around all the fans applauding and say, by the way, I was there that time you were puking in the bushes and I had to take you home. You need that one guy to ground you, And it's the same with the creative job.
Well, I say, people shit on him a lot for what he did, but like you said, at the end of the day, WWE as well, everything he did had to go through Vince. So, I mean,
sure. I don't know. Wasn't he gone by the time they did the Mae Young giving birth to a hand thing?
I think so, yeah.
I reckon you both are right here. Like, he could have been used as a scapegoat for a lot of people and other people's ideas. It's like, that was in that time. It was definitely a Russo one. And nobody maybe have even looked. It's like, was he even involved in this at all?
Well, that's what I felt about TNA.
Yeah.
That's what I felt, because they brought him back to TNA. He got sacked, and then they brought him back. And to me, it was just like, if everything goes well, Jeff and Dutch get the credit, and anything goes bad, Vince gets the heat. Because Vince, when I was there towards the end, Vince had virtually no voice. Because I talked to him on the phone, and he'd be like, here's some ideas, yada, yada. He goes, I'd love to implement them. He goes, but right now they're not listening to me. He goes, I'm in the production meetings, but they just, I throw ideas out and they shoot everything I say down.
Wow.
So I really believe that he was,
Oh, the audio's gone there, Joe.
You've gone, Joe.
Joe, the audio. Oh, no.
You hear me now?
Yeah, we go.
Yeah, back online now.
Okay. And I guess something with my headset. Okay. No problem. But yeah, like I said, I think he was an excellent scapegoat for a lot of things.
Yeah. No, I agree. Before we start to wrap up as well, I've got to ask you one question. I know you might not watch it anymore, aren't familiar with it. Obviously, there was the releases last week from WWE, and there's a rumor that Vince is preparing to sell. Do you see Vince McMahon ever selling WWE?
No. No, I see him floating the idea to try and get the stock, to manipulate the stock market. That's what I see him doing, because I imagine if he can float the idea and then Disney makes an offer, then he goes to his investors and say, look what Disney's offering. And all of a sudden the shares go up. That would be my guess. I don't see him. If he was going to walk away, I think he would have done it ages ago on his own. He would have left, he would have been the owner, but he would have left Hunter and, Shane and Stephanie to do all the work. And he hasn't. He's still so hands-on. I just don't see him. I don't see him selling, but I do see him manipulating the stock market.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah, and let's face it, he's 76 in a couple of months. So I mean, he's
something like that.
Yeah, he's doing all right. He's not doing bad.
Yeah, he just bought like an $8 million home in Florida or something like that. Or Just threw in $8 million on a house. I can't remember where, but some beachfront property.
Wow. Not bad at all. Not bad at all, man. Not bad at all.
No.
Joe, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. Honestly, I can't thank you enough for coming on. I can't thank Marcus enough for getting you.
The time's just flown by.
I'd love to get you back on as well down the road if you'd be up for that, because I think
whatever you like. I'm around, man.
But before we do you want to let everyone know where they can find you, any social medias, merchandise, any upcoming shows to plug?
Oh shit. Okay, at w3lwrestling.com. That's a promotion I work for in Scotland. They're selling Joey Legend t-shirts.
Okay. And
they've done actually a really nice job. I wish I had one here, but I was wearing it at the training and it's in the wash now. But they're selling. They got a lot of good t-shirts there, but mine's the best. If you go on social media, I'm on at the Joey Legend is my Twitter thing. On Facebook, there's a Joey Legend account, which I should look at more, and I just should. I don't look at it as much as I should have. But I'm also under my real name, Joe E. Hitchin. If you want to reach me on that, or my email address, legendwrestling@hotmail.com. And I'm, always available for seminars and interviews and, bookings and stuff like that, whatever. I just did a music video here in Germany.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for a band called Jupiter Jones. I think that the song's called Atman. And they did a really nice job on it. I'm not a pop music guy normally, but I'm really happy with what they did. When I saw the video coming up on my screen, I'm like, I hope I don't look like too much of a dick. But it turns out they did a really nice job. Made me look borderline presentable.
Well, I did get followed on Twitter today by Lord Joey Legend, so I'm presuming that's not you.
That is me.
That is you. It was you then. I thought you said yes. Okay, it was you. That's okay then.
Yeah, I am a lord.
You are a lord. That's cool.
Yeah, I got a lordship for Christmas.
Oh, brilliant.
Well, come over to the UK, man. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. We'll the red carpet's out, man. But honestly, mate, I can't thank you enough. When this goes up, we'll let you know. We'll tag you in it.
Please, I'll forward it on to Twitter and all that stuff on what social media I have. And hopefully it'll help spread the word for you.
So when things start opening up again, love to see you back here in Sweden.
I'd love to.
Always got a place here, and we love you.
If there's nothing else, that garlic restaurant. Oh my God.
I was going to mention that as well.
Mention it.
But I know you love that one like the best. They're possibly opening again under new ownership. If they do, they're going to have like a table set, the Joe E. Legend, like wherever you want.
That's right. Just a big bottle of Listerine in the middle of the table. It is the best. Oh, you guys took me there, and it just looked like this kind of crappy little punk rock place. I thought we're going to eat what's this going to be, like chicken wings and mozzarella sticks, a bar. Yeah. And then we sat down, and it's like, it's an all garlic restaurant. I'm like, you're kidding me. I'm a huge garlic nerd. And they had I had a garlic cheeseburger, and then these guys had a couple of students, they had it's a cup of garlic oil with chunks of garlic cheese in it. And you dip bread in. Oh my God. It was so, and then I had chocolate covered garlic. Somebody ordered it and I had a bite. I thought this is going to be terrible, but I got to try it. And it was awesome.
Yeah.
Those guys are such mad. They're Jedis when it comes to garlic. They can do no wrong.
It's like a real hidden gem in Stockholm, as Joe said. It doesn't look like much from the outside, but
you walk right by it and never think twice. And it's so good.
Amazing. Well, we're planning on flying out to Sweden as well, so let's make sure Joey's there as well, and we'll all go to this garlic restaurant together, and we'll have a good night.
I'm could get to a wrestling show at 8 o'clock. You'd be like, we'll see you there.
We'll be fine, man.
Get them to cater it.
Honestly, Joe, thank you so much, man. It has been an honour for me, it really has. So thank you so much. Entirely. Thank you for Marcus as well for being my co-host. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, guys.
It's been my pleasure, Charlie. Thank you so much for having me on.
Anytime.
I hope I was worth your while.
Excellent. Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate that.
We are fair now, Jamie?
We are, yes, we are. We are. Yeah, thank you so much, Jonas. That was
my pleasure.
Absolutely. I've been at work all day, and all I've had in my mind is I'm going to speak to Joey Legend tonight. So it's like,
oh, that's sweet. That's nice.
It's got me.
Anytime. I'm happy to do it. You missed it, actually. If it'd been a few hours earlier, I've got 3 rabbits, and so I had 2 of them running around here for a while. I've got the boy. His name is the Mighty Odin, King of Asgard and Hero of the 7 Realms.
Brilliant.
The one girl, she's Lady Timber, Warrior Princess, and Master of Kung Fu. And then the third one, we just got her maybe a month and a half ago, something like that. But she's the great and powerful Ahsoka Tano, Protector of the World, and Jewel of the Jedi Order.
Oh, okay.
I think that might be the 3 best names for any animal I've ever heard in my life.
The boys,
Facebook has these bunny sites, which I'm a member of all of them because, like, I have the pet rabbits. I can get advice if they're feeling sick or whatever. And somebody posted a thing saying, "What's your rabbit's name? What's the nickname? Let's see what's unique." And I thought, son of a bitch, I'm going to have the most unique names or I'm going to die trying.
Hey, you did, man. There's nothing beating them names. That is incredible.
But I've done interviews and they run over, like they come over here and they'll just stand here and give me kisses on the face and run away. So if it had been a couple hours ago, they would have made an appearance on the show here.
Well,
I totally ruined my hard-ass wrestler things. Like, oh, hello, baby bunny. I totally girl myself out, man.
Man, I love those names. I really do. I absolutely love those names. But honestly, dude, I definitely want to get you back. We'll bring Marcus back again and do that one because I think there's so much more to talk about.
Yeah, I had like a couple of other notes we didn't even get to stuff, and I've watched some stuff today, which is I just want like looking on the internet for like new clips and stuff. Dude, you've wrestled like everywhere and all the different places. I saw a match with you in India against some guy like a Commonwealth Indian champion.
That was actually in South Africa for the Indian market.
God, but that guy you were wrestling, I mean, he couldn't do so much. I mean, you were really
got awful.
You were putting your body on the line for that guy who was cringing at everything you were taking.
Well, the thing is that he's actually a big TV star in India.
Oh, I thought there must have been some angle with this. Somewhere.
Yeah, he was. But here's the mark factor. He won the Indian version of Dancing with the Stars, right? That show, and he won the Indian version of Big Brother, the one that Khali was on.
Oh right, yeah.
Oh wow.
He won that one over Khali, right? Okay. He's a huge star. When I was there with him, I had to go and like take him aside and walk him through matches. He tried wrestling before and he was terrible then, but I had to baby step through this whole fucking thing because he's terrible. But nice enough guy. But every day he was showing me pictures on his phone. Every newspaper in India, it seems, we were like front page news. Tonight's the night, Commonwealth title, our guy against Joe Legend, blah, blah, blah. We had all this press. Yeah. We were the lead story on the news on 6 different TV networks, not just the sports, but the actual news. After I put him over in the knockout, he flew back to India and he sent me videos because when he landed, there was a motorcade waiting for him and he got driven to meet the Prime Minister of India who wanted to congratulate him on winning the belt. Prime Minister of India is fucking hard.
I saw the video and the video is like, it's presented like a full match, but you can see it's clipped together like to show the best bits, but fuck, he doesn't do anything very good at all, but you can see there's so many camera people, media all around. I was like, this has got to be some kabuki.
They were trying to open up the Indian market for the South African company. So they asked me if I could, baby step this guy through a match and make him look presentable.
Yeah.
And the referee fucked it up a million times. I had to yell at the referee in the match.
Like counting out stuff for you, like as soon as you like hit the mat, he was like counting you. It's like counting out stuff. It was just a surreal thing to watch. So I have to send it to you after.
The thing is, they wanted to do the knockout thing. And I said, okay, well, let's do it like Rocky 2, right? Where we're both trying to fight our way to our feet. And then at 8, 9, I'll get knocked down. 10, he wins, right? I thought that'll be nice and with a nice intensity. And so we both get knocked down. And he's like 1, 2, 3, whatever. And then as we start to get up, we're like hitting each other. And he starts counting again. I'm like, no, just keep counting because we're going to 1, 2, and then he's going to get the last shot. And every time I hit him, hey, don't hit 1. I'm like, for fuck's sake, how long is this? And we'd been through it. We had a wrestling ring in the promoter's garden for 2 days prior to the show to go through the match. I had the referee there. He's an old-time wrestler from South Africa. And he kept wanting me to do all these spots with him. I'm like, well, you're not you're the ref. Like, I don't need to do anything with you. So I was so surprised at how much he fucked up. Like, counting to 10 ain't difficult if you got 10 fingers. And he had 10 fingers. And he still couldn't get through it. He kept restarting the count. And eventually I'm lying around, will you fucking count? Like, I was getting really upset. And then it kind of jolted him. And then he finally counted out. But it took forever. The finish took probably like 3 minutes longer than it should have. So we didn't get the pop. We got the pop, but not the pop we wanted. It would have been bigger because they were right with it up until that point.
Well, I've just realised something. I didn't stop recording, so we'll have that as a bonus clip. There we go.
Didn't stop recording.
I thought I had. But,
sorry, I asked you because I was like, I'll ask this.
I thought I had. So we've got
controversial more.
We've got a Joey Legend bonus clip.
There you go. I got the bonus features.
There we go. So I will stop recording now and say thank you, Joe. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, my pleasure.